Hey everyone, Melanie Muenchinger here, illustrator for Gina K Designs. Today I have a project for you with my very newest set from Gina K Designs, Perfect Pallets, and this is releasing Tuesday night, July 30th, which is tonight, 7 p.m. standard. We're going to be on Facebook doing a live broadcast with Gina and some of the other illustrators. I'm really excited to chat with you, so I hope that you'll show up if you are watching this today. And if not, join us for our blog hops later in the week and then come back for more of my videos showing how I'm going to be able to use this really versatile set. I know you're going to love it. So the boards that are included in this are meant to work as both line art, bold, and two-step stamps so that you can create all kinds of board elements on your cards or stamp them end to end so that you can create palettes. So I created the majority of this set years ago and I'm just now coming around to releasing it now, but I know that the palette trend is here to stay. Just the farmhouse style, it's both contemporary and it's classic and it's just lovely on cards. It's going to work for so many things with the natural elements for a masculine theme or when you're wanting something to be really cozy and homespun and sweet like the card that we're doing today. So the products that you're going to need for this particular card, I'll tell you, and then as we go, I'll point out a few other things about this set. So the Perfect Palette set from Gina K Designs, the cardstock I'm using today, this is all pure luxury from Gina K. So I've got the Kraft, I've got some of the black Onyx, and then I've got some of the white. This is just the plain layering weight white, and I will post the measurements for that below. The ink that I'm using today, we've got a brand new Amalgam ink. This is called Obsidian. This is the darkest black ink on the market. I'll show you a sample really quickly. So this is with the jet black Amalgam ink, which is great for coloring that she released before, and this is Obsidian. So I actually stamped this one in the jet black before I received the pad, so we will see what that does today, but I'm looking forward to using it. Then I've also got the Kraft ink for stamping those boards, and it's just going to blend right into that card base. And then I'm using just a couple of little ink cubes. These are available in full-size pads as well, but I just have the cubes for now. I've got the soft stone, and then I've got some of the Stormy sky. I've got some scissors in case I need to trim around those boards, but this cut that I have done here, I believe, is 3 7/8 by 5 1/8. These boards are 1 inch, and so they're just going to fit just right onto my mat. Really don't need to do any trimming. And then I've got some adhesive for putting those layers on, and then just some foam squares for popping that up. I've also got a scoring board here, and I'll show you what I'm using that for during my demonstration. Okay, also you're going to need some blocks. You can stamp these out with the Misty, but because I want to move this around and stamp them next to each other, I find that it's easier for me to use a block rather than moving the paper inside the Misty positioner, but that is up to you. So the smaller board is going to fit perfectly on the 3 by 4 inch block that Gina carries. Any block that you use, I love that it's got a grid line on it because you're going to really be able to line these up easily and get them really close to the edge for less trimming. The long board on this is great for filling up the entire mat on your card, whether you're doing a portrait or landscape style. I'm going to be using her long acrylic block for that. She's also got a 4 by 6, or no, I'm sorry, the 4 by 6, 6 by 6 block. That would work as well, but this is the one that I'm going to use today. So I'm going to do this card, but I'm actually going to do it with the shorter board, and we're going to fill it in this way. And again, you're going to be able to fill that in, but then use it portrait or landscape style. So I could have also done the greeting as you see in the thumbnail for this video with the words going this way. So that is up to you, but it's a way to change up the look. So let's begin by stamping out this little board. So today I'm just going to be using the line art one, but if you wanted to fill this in with a color, you could use the bold board as well. So I'm just going to put this on the middle of my block. Pardon my head if I'm in the way. So make sure that that's straight. Move that out of the way. Okay. So we're going to ink this up with the Kraft ink. And then I'm just going to put that right, get one little hair on here. Okay. ink that up again, make sure. Oh, sticky. Okay, so I'm just going to go right to the bottom of that mat. And pick it up. And then what I'm going to do now is I'm going to flip this 180 degrees, turn it over, so that now this large knot in the wood is going to be on this side. So staggering it back and forth that way, it's going to keep that wood pattern from looking static and manufactured. Okay, so I'm just going to go in, pardon my head, and I'm just stamping it just right up to the edge of the first board. And flip it over. And flip it again. And then one last board. Flip it one last time. Okay. All right, so now I have just a little bit of room. I wanted to save myself a little bit of room. So what I'm going to do, I really don't have to trim around any of it on the other side. Just going to go just a little bit, not even up to the edge because there's just a tiny bit on that other side, and then just a little bit along this edge, just so that it's even. If you want, you can go around the whole thing. If you want, you can go into those notches. I'm going to show a lot of different examples where I cut these in different ways, but it's kind of like a die cut now where you have just that little rim around it. And if you want to round off those corners, like the rounded edges of those boards, you can do that. Okay, so this is going to layer right onto your card front, or you can put it on top of the black paper, and that's just gonna really set it off and help your stamping pop out. Okay, so now let's go ahead, and so I'm going to show you two, so you can use it going this way or going this way. So I think I'm going to do the layout this way this time, just to have something different than the one that I had at the beginning. So I think I'm going to do celebrate today on this one so that I've got a birthday card. And I'll go ahead and do this on my 3 by 4 inch block as well. And I'm going to stamp this in the Obsidian ink. Oh, that's nice and crisp. I love that. I'm going to move this out of the way. Okay, so I'm going to put this going in the middle. Nice. Okay. And then, I don't know if you noticed, but I've got all of these different arrow elements in here. So these are really fun and really on trend. I've got some hand-drawn little arrowheads and fletching that you can use in different ways on the shaft of this arrow, or some that are more graphic. So that's up to you what you end up wanting to use. Let's go ahead and put one on there just so that you can see how that stamps. And so I'm going to line up this line on my block. And you see, if you want to curve the arrow, that could be fun for another card. And I've made some samples too without any boards, just because with all these little floral elements that are great for embellishing these different greetings that you have, you can also use them on your own without any boards on your layout. So I'm just going to put this just right underneath. And I always love lines separating different fonts or different words in a sentiment. Just really creates a lot of impact on your card. So I'm going to do, you could do celebrate you or celebrate today. I'm going to do celebrate you. Oh gosh, I love this black. Got to get this. Okay, then I want to pick the ends for the arrows. So I'm going to use some of these little hand-drawn ones. And put this on this end. And I'm going to do this pointed one. There's also a heart. And that would be sweet, but I'm going to just do the regular arrow. Okay. And then let's do some of the flowers around it. So on this one, I'm going to go above it and below it because my design is extending out a little bit more. So I didn't use any color today on this card. I'm really going farmhouse style and embracing these really sophisticated neutrals. So I'm going to use the larger rose, and I'm going to grab a small block here just because I like to have a small block for the tiny elements. And that's going to avoid picking up extra ink from my ink pad. And it's also going to keep me from transferring that to my card. So there's a rose, and then I'm going to put one down here as well. And then let's go ahead and let's do the smaller ones around it. So I've got a smaller rose in here, and I think I'm going to do the grays on this one. So I'm going to start with this Stormy Sky. And if you look at my first sample here, it's fairly symmetrical, but not completely symmetrical. So you can do them in slightly different configurations. And you can also stamp off if you want to get different gray tones on there. So now I'm going to go to, got this little vine element, or kind of like a little twig. So I'm going to do it like that. So you can see I stamped off there. And I have two of these, so you can actually do the mirror image. So before I take it off, I'm going to go down to the bottom, and then I'm going to take its little mirror image twin to go the other way. So I'm going to go like this, and like that, and then ink it up again, and like that. And have your tidy towel handy. I just got a big blob of this black ink, so I don't want to get this on my card or on my fingers anymore. Okay, so now let's do some of those leaves. I have several leaves in here, so I've got some line art and some bold ones. So I'm going to do some with this darker gray. Put one out here. And then let's go up here. Here. I just love filling in floral arrangements like this, just building with the different little leaves and petals and things. So I'm going to take this smaller leaf now. Actually, wait, that's a bigger one. Here's a tinier one. And I'm going to do this with the black again, I think. And I just kind of keep looking at it and playing with it. And let's do maybe one more little one this way. I'm just looking and seeing where I feel like I need a little bit more color contrast. There. And then let me use one of these little line art leaves here. And I'm going to do, let me do the lighter gray. Let's do some of both. And it's done when you think it's done. Go that. Let me do a darker one. Yeah. So I'm going to put both of these under the rose to make that a little bit more symmetrical. Put one up here and then one up here. So just play, have fun with it. When you're finished, just going to take a step back, and can put these on the envelope as well. So I'm just going to put just a little bit of adhesive on here with my tape runner. And you can trim the black layer down as well if you trimmed off a lot of your white. And then I'm going to put this on some foam squares. Oh, before I do that, I did mention one thing that I wanted to show you with this, and I would have done it first. I can still do it now though. So you can't see it, I know, in the video, but for a tactile experience and something that you can see in person, if you have a scoring board, it's really fun to go ahead and score down in between these boards. And even though you didn't have to cut out all the individual boards and then piece them together on your card, it's going to give you the feeling of how boards have that texture in between. So I'm just going to line just each of these up on the scoring board with these channels, and they're easy to find once you find one, since they are an inch apart. And just go down each of those lines, and it just adds a little something to your design. Yeah, so you can see it on the back and you can feel it on the front. So I'm just going to put some foam squares on here. And while I'm doing that, just to point out, you might recognize some of these fonts, some of these words in here. They coordinate with my Women of Faith and my This Girl Is set from this past year. So those words that I have in here, have those other words in mind so that you can make a lot of combination. This Lee that goes with the bold, you can also put that with brave, beautiful, faithful, so many of the words in that This Girl Is set. So I'll be showing you a lot more combinations with that. But I'm really excited to use those, and just so excited to use these boards with all kinds of different images and sentiments that I have in my collection. They'll be especially beautiful with Emily Loggins's gorgeous handwriting, that beautiful script that she does. I'm eager to put those on here. And then have lots of ideas for how you can use these without making palettes. I'm looking forward to seeing what you're going to do, and I'm really excited to see what the team is going to have for tonight. So please join us for our Facebook Live. Come to our hops this week and visit us at Gina K Designs. I'll have those links for you below. Thanks so much for watching today. Come back for more videos with the perfect palette set. God bless.